Many people online are asking, is this the end of Dungeons and Dragons? And the answer is, yeah, it really doesn't look very good. And no, I am not being hyperbolic, because Hasbro have basically just quit Dungeons and Dragons, and now the situation is deteriorating rapidly. Industry-wide change is here, and it's very scary. Okay, so let me catch you up. Last week, we heard the two major key Dungeons and Dragons employees in Hasbro, the owner of D&D, are now gone. First, Todd Kenrick was shockingly laid off, and this took the entire RPG community by surprise, because he was the community-facing D&D YouTuber who hosts all the super popular D&D YouTube videos and did all those massive interviews at the launch of the new edition. In fact, he was pretty much the face of D&D on social media, YouTube, and online. And yet, Hasbro just laid him off. Now, personally, I don't believe that Hasbro think that the internet is just a fad. So it's really weird that they have fired their main internet persona just as the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons has launched. But then, on top of that, Jess Lanzillo, the VP of the entire Dungeons and Dragons franchise at Hasbro, the person who literally just took the role last year, has now quit the company entirely, leaving Dungeons and Dragons utterly rudderless and without direction. And those are two huge losses. But bear in mind, these two huge profile losses are happening right after Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, the lead designers and creators and supplement writers of D&D 5th edition, have also just left Hasbro and Dungeons and Dragons just a few months ago. So, okay, this year we have lost lead designer, social media guy, creative director, and the head of the D&D franchise. It really doesn't look great for Dungeons and Dragons' future. It really feels like the game is being abandoned. But then, it got worse, because the losses did not stop there, as Hasbro have begun firing everyone else too. They just laid off 3% of their entire workforce. That's on top of the 90% of the D&D Sigil team, who were fired just a few months ago after they had spent years trying to build the flagship virtual tabletop system, Sigil, the one that literally just launched and then got cancelled in the exact same day. They're all gone. And even that is on top of the fact that Chris Cox, CEO of Hasbro, recently hinted that there would be even more layoffs at Wizards of the Coast. But it doesn't even stop there. It gets even worse. Because in potentially one of the most shocking announcements in history, and I'm including everything in there, from the American Declaration of Independence to my dad saying that my sister was a slightly bigger disappointment than I am, Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, those key players who just left D&D, who helped build Dungeons and Dragons into the cultural juggernaut that it is today, have now announced that after leaving Dungeons and Dragons, they're instead joining Critical Role and Darrington Press, and are now working with D&D's newest, biggest rival RPG, Daggerheart. That's pretty insane. And as a result, the community have gone absolutely wild. And that's why everyone is asking, is this the end of D&D? Hasbro's attempts to monetize D&D have failed, everyone is getting fired, and now there's a new game in town. What does it mean for the future of Dungeons and Dragons? Hell, what does it mean for Daggerheart and the entire RPG market? Well, let's start with D&D, because we do actually know what's going to happen next for that game, because I've been studying Hasbro, and yeah, there's a playbook for what is going on right now, and you're probably not going to like it. But before we do lose D&D, we should commemorate the game the only way I know how, with a novelty tapestry. Behold, my creation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is that an image of a beloved brand being actively set on fire by C-suite executives while children gamble in the background, AI adds fuel to the fire, and a well-known union bus and private eye company from cowboy times who are still inexplicably in business look on? Why, yes, it is. Now, see if you can spot all the references, because they're all pretty kooky. YouTube has decided to cut my ad revenue and cancel ads on my channel pretty frequently this year, so I've decided to try and find another way of supporting the channel. So why not help support my mission to deliver RPG news and views? I've teamed up with Epic Desk to create this brand new exclusive premium neoprene desk mat that will enable you to truly commemorate all the absolutely horrible decisions and scandals of a certain corporation in the last few years. And it can be yours by simply clicking the link below. I'm in love with this thing. thing. I find it absolutely glorious. In fact, I'm thinking of getting a second one for my desk and another that I can use to paint miniatures on, but also it doubles as a mat for my mouse. She just glides. It's absolutely massive. I can't fit it all on my screen. It's huge and thick. Okay, phrasing. And it's guaranteed to cover your desk. But it is a limited edition and will only be available for a short period of time. So if you are interested in this one-off unique desk mat with truly incredible, and it must be admitted, niche art that is all human made and no one else will ever have, then check out my link below to get it and help support the channel. And if you do buy 2 of the mats, you will get a 20% off discount as well. Thanks for your support. It's only with you that I can keep doing this. But okay, what's the future then? Well, let's start with Dungeons and Dragons. Now, the popular talk online is that Hasbro are gearing up to just simply sell Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe to Paizo or Darrington Press, or hell, why not Ubisoft? There's lots of reasons not to Ubisoft, but okay, people are speculating that that might be the case. I mean, why else just lay off everybody from the company? Why get rid of all the people involved in actually making the games? If Hasbro's plan isn't just to sell the IP, it's pretty valuable after all. But all these people are wrong, because if you're someone boring enough to have followed Hasbro for a while, guilty, then you'll have noticed a pattern that applies to all their franchises, all their games, and all their properties. A pattern that now includes Dungeons and Dragons. And this is a secret pattern, it's not advertised or openly discussed anywhere, they never announced this pattern, but it's real, and it's going to result in total change for TTRPGs forever. And the secret to this secret pattern is ponies! Yep, ponies! Stick with me here, because I'm not talking about regular ponies, you know, the kind that like neigh and cowboys and stuff, like whatever ponies do. No, I'm talking about ponies that talk, that have big googly eyes, cute makeup, and weirdly sexual energy that makes some men want to go to bed with them. I'm talking about these ponies, the My Little Ponies. Remember them? Dressed all in pink with saccharine names like Fluttershy, Applejack, and Muhammad Ashraf. Sorry, I read the script wrong there. I mean Twilight Sparkle. Well, you might not know this, but there was a time when My Little Pony wasn't a porn franchise. Shocking, I know. And Hasbro own My Little Pony, and My Little Pony is the future of D&D. Because the thing about My Little Pony is that it has come and gone many times over. It was created in 1981, then discontinued in the 90s. Then it was revived again in 1997, and then discontinued again in 1999. Then it was revived again in 2003, and then discontinued until 2010, when My Little Pony reached its cultural zenith and became a juggernaut as thousands of young girls and millions of sexually active men on 4chan became obsessed with the franchise. And then what happened? Well, it slowly lost popularity again and was discontinued yet again. And now we're seeing another generation of My Little Pony, except they're not new, they're the old ones. But this is a new reboot that does not seem to be performing very well. And as a result, My Little Pony will soon return to its IP prison. And that tells us a lot about how Hasbro operate. It reveals the dirty, dark secret of Hasbro, at least the dirty, dark secret that doesn't involve a basement filled with child soldiers. Ask me about that when I've had a few drinks. It reveals that Hasbro treat their IPs as properties that can come and go, because the executives at Hasbro understand that their business is cyclical. My Little Pony is on a downturn right now. Currently it's not in the zeitgeist, and as a result, Hasbro have put it on life support, but they're waiting. They're waiting for the next new reboot of the franchise to be wheeled out again, geriatric and wizened, but with a fresh face of ghoulish makeup, a new look and iteration for the next generation of kids and sexually active adult men. But importantly, until then, it is buried, it is in prison, it is entombed in a latex sensory deprivation chamber. First thing that sprung to mind, and it is that same prison where D&D is going to go. Because to Hasbro, D&D is just another property. It's just another IP. To Hasbro, Dungeons and Dragons is not special. And there was 2 things keeping Dungeons and Dragons active for Hasbro. The first was the mass popularity of the game, the cultural zeitgeist that was keeping the game active. But more importantly, it was the promise that the huge D&D audience could be monetized aggressively and provide a recurrent revenue stream for the corporation. Specifically from the TTRPG free-to-play MMO hybrid that was the Sigil tabletop simulator. The one that literally just blew up totally failed and was cancelled, and that everybody who was involved with it got fired or let go from the company. Then the other was all the creative devs, the people like Crawford and Perkins, those who bled Dungeons and Dragons, the OGs, the employees who were focused on books and real D&D content. But where are they now? Well, they're gone now. They've been fired or they've quit. They're now at Darrington Press making content for D&D's newest, biggest rival. The Dungeons & Dragons development team at WotC have been blown up, kaput. So the future is clear. Dungeons & Dragons is going to be My Little Ponified, but you know, probably with less pornography. So good news is Hasbro never sell IPs, so they're not going to sell Dungeons & Dragons. The next source book won't be authored by, I don't know, the Westboro Baptist Church. But the bad news is that something even worse will happen. Hasbro are simply going to put D&D on ice for a really long time, and just like they do all their other IPs when they're on a downturn, off into the vault alongside G.I. Joe and Inhumanoids and GoBots. And once the already announced books are completed from this year, all we're going to see for the game going forward is Hasbro cashing in on the broad D&D awareness in pop culture by selling branded toys and stickers and keychains and dildos. Meaning no more real content, no more games, no more books, just branded dildos. Endless dildos. And that kind of sucks. Like, rather than a quick cut to the throat, we're gonna have to watch D&D go to the hospice and just slowly expire in front of our eyes. I know we'll probably come back in a few years, sure, maybe in a decade, but that's a long time away. A lot of waiting around. And honestly, the C-suite executives at Hasbro are probably just thankful for all this too, because boy, they must be sick of Dungeons and Dragons at this stage, and all the headaches that come from an engaged, vocal community of enthusiastic roleplayers with active demands and standards. That's you, by the way. Well done. Didn't mean that in a sarcastic way, like, yeah, have standards, that's fine. That's good, have standards. Not to mention that Dungeons & Dragons is a cooperative storytelling game based on imagination, and that's just, like, really hard to monetize, you know? Like, damn, a corporation's like, give me all your blood, and there's no blood to really be had. We're just playing a game. We're having an artistic experience here. Corporation, if it can't digitize it and sell assets, I don't know if Hasbro know what to do with D&D anymore. I think they just don't have a backup plan ever since the cancellation of Sigil. So, you know, put it away, leave it in the toy box, come back to it later. But okay, that's only Dungeons and Dragons. What about the entire rest of the RPG market? Well, arguably, this might actually be the greatest thing to have ever happened. Arguably. Because with Hasbro stepping back from Dungeons and Dragons, that could open the door for a new TTRPG golden age. One that isn't centralized around a single massive brand, and that's what people hope for. And well, Daggerheart now exists, and lots of people are playing it. Like, a lot of people. It's super popular right now. I've not seen so many people playing a game other than D&D since the OGL scandal. So Critical Role might have just cracked open the entire market for the hobby, because when people play more than one game, if they don't just play D&D, if they play Daggerheart as well, then they're more likely to try some other games to become variety gamers and try even more. So all you Delta greenheads out there, get ready, it's happening. Someone will finally play that game with me. I mean, you. And I hope that happens. I hope the TTRPG market can get bigger without D&D even being actively developed. I hope that the RPG market can survive and thrive. Certainly Critical Role seem to have a lot of plans for Daggerheart. I mean, you don't hire Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford for nothing. I assume those guys are joining Critical Role to start doing exactly what they did with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, building supplements to get a marketplace together, to create more content for their game. In this case, for Daggerheart to get a marketplace that can rival the massive Dungeons & Dragons marketplace that Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford helped create. I mean, Chris Perkins did create a bunch of the most beloved 5th edition adventure modules. Are we gonna see a Daggerheart version of Curse of Strahd soon? Curse of Brad? I mean, he's done other stuff, but Curse of Brad sounds kind of badass. So yeah, that's exciting. There's exciting times ahead, and that's just Daggerheart. I think other games might start to blow up and fill the void that has been left by D&D and Hasbro's retreat. I just hope that in the meantime, the Darrington Press fix their current open gaming license, because right now it's not very open or permissive, and I kind of want to make some stuff for that game, honestly. I'm getting kind of hyped for Daggerheart. But I'll keep following this story, so subscribe if you want to follow it too, and check out my Patreon for bonus content videos and to help support the channel in the wake of these ad changes. I need your support to keep this whole crazy thing going. Thanks so much, and thanks to my patrons, especially CryptoKev, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye bye.